All right, welcome to episode 3 of the Viking Voices Podcast. And let me tell you, they say if your podcast numbers are down, they say if you can't quite reach your target audience, you bring on the most interesting man on campus, and that is Coach Rack. We got him, ladies and gentlemen. He's here today. Coach Rack, good to have you on the podcast.
Oh, man, yeah, it's pretty good to be here. That's pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty funny. No, I mean, I'm glad to be here. As soon as you said you were going to do this thing, I was like, God, I hope he asked me to be on there. It really didn't take that long. So.
Yeah, exactly. Once we figure something out, we execute. That's what we do around here. So, Coach Rack, everyone I think is going to recognize you here on this podcast, but for the people who may not, I'd love for you to introduce yourself, where you're from, kind of what you do on campus, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, so my name's Will Rakowski, head of strength and conditioning here. Going into my third year here now as a full-time guy from Grand Forks, North Dakota, along with being the head of strength and conditioning. Me and Kat Miller from the athletic training staff we co-coordinate the intramural program, so that's kind of a new thing that's been newly revamped, and it's pretty cool to do that. So it's a little bit more responsibility, but it's not much. Kat and I work pretty well. She does a lot of the paperwork stuff, and I go out and talk to all the individuals because that's what I do all day. So it's pretty easy there. But yeah, that's kind of the gist of me anyway. So
yeah, well, I was a part of that intramural program for all of 2 games, and the team went 0-2 when I was in there, and then they won the championship the next week when I wasn't. So was I the problem? I don't know, Coach, but you have to tell me.
I just don't think they were ready for you schematically.
Oh, that's
I think
right.
they might have been just hadn't included you in their game plan, and I'm sure they're watching a lot of film and on their opponent and scheming up a lot on the flag football, and I just don't think you were part of the game plan, and that's not a personal shot. I think it was just one of those things where they just didn't have room for you, and then they prevailed at the end. So
I think that's the best possible scenario right there. I think that's well said. I'd love to start, because you were a student here, you played football here. I'd love for you to start by talking about some of that. Your playing days, any memories on the field or in the classroom that kind of stick out to you that you'd want to share here on the podcast?
Yeah, most definitely. So Valley City State was not my first destination here. It was one of those things. So like I say, I'm from Grand Forks. Valley City's pretty near from here. It's only about just a little bit under a 2-hour drive from Grand Forks. But it was not my first destination as far as college goes. I did some time at University of Marion Bismarck, played football out there. Then just kind of figured out, it's not necessarily for me maybe. I ended up taking a semester off, actually, before transferring to Valley. Got in contact with the football staff here. And then kind of from there it was, kind of just rowing at that point, So we get in the fall of 2018 is my first fall here, get the fall camp, and immediately fall in love with the place. Small town nature, everybody's real close. So I played on the offensive line. I played all different positions, played center, guards, tackles. We had a package actually where I played tight end. We called it Badger because Wisconsin Badgers were doing something out of this crazy cool formation and threw me at tight end. And unfortunately, never got a ball, never got a target or anything. But that was something that happened. So I played 2 years here. After transferring in, again, kind of all over the place on the offensive line. Played some games at center, played a bunch of games at guard, played some snaps at tackle when needed. And again, like I said, played a little bit of tight end here and then too. Here and then being about a collective total of 3 snaps, I believe. But that is here and then. Some things that stick out to me. The big one being 2019, the first Ag Bowl was against UJ, the very first game. I believe it was the first Thursday of the semester, so kids just got on campus. All the freshmen are still new to the place. Everybody's excited. And, so first day of classes was Tuesday. The game's Thursday night at 7 o'clock under the lights. And first Ag Bowl, and, those who don't know or maybe watching from outside of perspective, we play University of Jamestown, and there's a real heated rivalry there. We just got done playing them this weekend. But regardless of that, we come out and, we had an All-American running back in the backfield, and offensive line is guys some of my best friends, is guys I hung out with, guys who I lifted with, who you're here all summer with, just some of my best friends. And we go out, and it's a pretty dogfight game the whole time, and then the defense goes out in the fourth quarter and gets a stop on a fourth and short for a fumble, and we pick it up and take a knee, and fireworks and the explosion of excitement that happened after that game, something that sticks out to me pretty good. That was in 2019. Another game that really sticks out to me is 2018 against Waldorf for homecoming. It was I just posted a picture to the VCSU
That's
strength.
right.
2 collective years, or consecutive years, I should say. On October 10th, we got like over a foot of snow. Exactly on October 10th, 2 years in a row. So that picture I posted on the VCSU strength was from 2019. This was 2018. Yeah, same deal. Like school gets shut down. We actually go to lift weights in the morning on a Tuesday, and this is before school shut down. So, we got some guys from Texas, who have never seen the snow before, never seen the ice before, and they get outside and they are just like lost for words as far as what to do, how to behave, how to act. And we go to lift and it's like, oh, we find out school's canceled, so we get back and go to bed or whatever. But but anyway, so that game, it's most of the snow got pushed to the side and kind of melted a little bit from the residual sun. But anyway, it was cold, windy, just kind of a brutal game anyway. Again, a really dogfight game. Waldorf's really, really talented on the defensive line that year. They had some dogs at linebacker. It was like I said, it was a dogfight game. We get to a point where we score a bunch of touchdowns, and it was one of those things where they're not like 2-play drives. They're like you freaking battle down the field. You butt heads all the way down the field, and you got, again, all-American linebacker in the backfield, and he was backed up by a kind of a bowling ball running back. He is probably about 5'10", 5'9", something like that, and listed at like 230, but he was all of 250 pounds, and so we had that 1-2 combo in the backfield, and we had to just dogfight down the field. But long story short, with that, we get to the point where we're up, or it's tied 21-21, and we got to kick field goal with like 5 seconds left to win the game. And I remember so I was on the field goal unit that time, and I remember being in my stance and looking at one particular piece of turf and being like, don't move, don't move, don't move, don't false start, because everybody's screaming, hollering, their defense are all jumping up. I'm just like staring at one piece of turf I just see blowing in the wind a little bit. I'm like, do not move, do not move. And I was overloaded on my side, so I take a step and just get trampled. And I'm staring up at the sky, and I just hear everybody start cheering, and I get up and I see our kicker running toward the sideline. That's how we made it. So we won the game there. So that's the game that sticks out as well. Yeah, I mean, it's played a lot of good teams, played a lot of good football. I got the opportunity to play, Northwestern College. They were up in the top 10 both years we played them. Played them in Iowa, and then we played them here one time. One game was really close, one game was not so close. And we get to play teams, end up scoring 70-something points on them or whatever it is. So you get a little bit of yin and yang. But the biggest thing I take out of playing time is the guys I played with, guys that I talk to daily still. Guys that I played with are actually just recently here for these University of Jamestown games. So we all get together yearly. We call it Ram Weekend. All the retired Rams offensive linemen get together and watch the game and hang out, and it's a really good time. So that's my biggest take from playing football in college, and just the camaraderie and the friendship and the brotherhood you guys make. And it's something, like I said, it's not an acute thing. It's pretty long term. So
right. Yeah. No, I mean, that seems to be the common theme with most athletes, is just the brotherhood they make on their teams. And, I love that, the Ram Weekend. I enjoy that a lot, especially, I know you can probably tell I was never a football guy just by my statue here. But I know the O linemen go through it. I know the D linemen go through it. So you definitely get some brothers in the trenches, as you'd probably say. But
most definitely. To
go back to the University of Jamestown, so you talked about when you played, little Thursday Night Lights, prime time. That was ESPN, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
ESPN 2, I think,
okay.
actually. Yeah.
Okay. So you talk about that. You told me a fun fact in the weight room the other day, actually, when I was lifting, and you said this was actually the first time you ever touched the paint bucket. Would love to get your comments on that and how that came to be.
Yeah, so the first time we played UJ, when I transferred in, we ended up losing to him. So obviously you don't touch the bucket when you lose to him. And I'm very much a Iowa hockey guy growing up. And there's the superstition with the conference champions where you don't touch a trophy kind of thing.
Right. And
I really, really liked that. And we had a traveling trophy with high school. Between the Cross City Rivals, Cushman Classic Trophy, whoever won, it would sit in their locker room the week of, and you never touched it. You just never touched it. So again, we lose UJ. Obviously, you can't touch there. And then sometimes they got the bucket around the bubble or whatever when I'm in here, and it's just like one of those things you just don't touch a trophy. It's bad luck. You just don't.
Yep.
So when we win, 2019. You know, it was one of those things where I played, you know, every snap, and you're glad you win. You're freaking jacked up. You won. You get some pictures taken, have family and, you know, friends around, take some pictures of them. And then as the 300-pound offensive lineman I was, covered in sweat in August, I was like, I'm ready to not be around anybody anymore. My knees hurt. Everything hurts. I'm covered in sweat. I am disgusting. I need to get out of here. And there was a lot of guys, gals, you know, wanting to take pictures with the bucket. You know, we took one as the offensive line unit, and I was just kind of like, I mean, we won. You know, we got it. I don't really care about anything otherwise. So I just never worried about it. And then, like I said, I never touched the thing. But, yeah, you know, of course, we went on this most recent Saturday, and we're lining up for the handshake line. And Trent Finney's, you know, carrying the trophy all proud and everything. And he looks at me and says, "Hey, Coach Rack, can you hold this while I'm going the handshake line?" I'm like, "Well, most definitely I can hold it." So I picked it up, and I was expecting it to be heavier.
Okay.
I don't know why I was expecting it to be so heavy, but I did, and I felt it in my hands, and it's like, I've been reunited here. And, you know, it's funny, I talk about the guys I played with, and they were in the back west end zone, and I took a power stance, and I held it up in the air, and I kind of like shook it towards them a little bit, and there was one of the student photographers taking photos, and I really, really hope she got a picture of me, because she was right in the direction I was standing. So I'm hoping I got one of those, and hoping I get to see that if it exists. So, but yeah, that was the first time I'd touched the paint bucket was this weekend, and it was really a full circle moment, as you know, winning it as an athlete, and then coming around and winning it as a coach. You know, the guys, they beat UJ last year, but it was again one of those things where I didn't really stay around that much. My mom came and watched the game, but I'm not gonna specifically go out and say, "Hey, let me get a picture of this," you know, kind of thing. And I know the guys who played for it, and the coaches wanted that first and foremost. So, so it's not like I didn't have the opportunity. I just never did.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, I was glad, better late than never. But again, it was a full circle moment from going from an athlete to a coach kind of deal. So it's pretty cool there, I think. But
right. No, I think it is. And if that picture ever surfaces, that needs to be spread campus wide. That picture will have all the aura. Marketing, that's going to be just an absolute layup for marketing. So, no, that's an awesome story. And I couldn't believe when you said you hadn't touched the paint bucket. I was like, that's pretty crazy, because, you know, I knew you played football here. And so pivoting to a little bit of something, I don't know. You can go as in depth as you want with this, but just a day in the life of Coach Rack.
Yeah, most definitely. So you know, everybody, if you work in the athletic department, or you train in the athletic department as a student athlete, you probably always hear, "Oh, Coach Rack's always here, Coach Rack's always here," or whatever. His car's always outside, and that is most definitely the truth a lot of the time. But it definitely ebbs and flows. You know, we have your busy times and your not busy times. But I'll give you a kind of a regular day and say like the fall semester. So we'll say like I get up usually about 4:15, 4:20. I'm one of those guys. I don't really mind the mornings. I enjoy the mornings. Excuse me. I've been doing this for a little while now, a little bit of a time. So the mornings are literally it's just like if somebody gets up at 8 o'clock every day. You know, it's just what it is.
Yeah,
it doesn't bother me. You know, get up, rip a little bit of breakfast. You know, rip shower. Take daily supplements, just daily vitamins, creatine. Like I said, have a little bit of breakfast, and then I'm a guy who likes to be places early. I probably don't have to get up as early as I do, but I like to get here to the bubble a little bit early. So a lot of times I like to leave my house about 5 to 5:15. Usually arrive at the bubble about 5:15, 5:20. I set up the iPads for the day, double check any programs I have for the day with Teams training. You know, potentially restock our Coca-Cola fridge downstairs, and really kind of just pick up any odds and end I might need to and get prepared for the day. Again, I like to have that extra time, so if I need to make some sort of drastic change, I have the time to do that. I'm not scrambling for something when a team gets in at 6.
Right.
And a lot of times that first group will be a football group in the morning. Currently, right now in our fall, at the 6 a.m. slot on Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, our developmental freshman guys, so from the football team. You know, so a lot of times the football teams take those early slots. The guys like the early times. They request the early times a lot of time. So we don't necessarily need to be there super early, but I figure if the guys requested they like it, I'll be there, kind of thing. The red shirts don't necessarily get that choice; they're kind of just assigned that, but the guys get after it's real good. But yeah, a lot of times, I have groups. It's not every hour on the hour, but sometimes, depending on how my schedule shakes out, trying to work around the athletic department the best I can and get the coaches what lift times they desire for their teams, maybe what the athletes like. It ends up being sometimes where it is might be an hour on the hour. To where on Monday, I've got groups at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, noon, 1, and 2. And then I got a break, a couple-hour break between my own lifting, any paperwork I might have to do, any office work I might have to do, any communications I might need to make. Then I have to finish up the day with track and field at 5 o'clock. So their post-practice, that's just the time that works for them. Being they're a little bit bigger team, they like to get everybody at one time where we can fit everybody. They're kind of like that small area where it's like they're a big team, but they're not a big team because they can all fit in the weight room at the same time. But yeah, so like I say, pretty much when I get here from 5:15 to whatever I leave at 6, like I'm doing something. And again, not every day is like that. Like my Wednesdays, like today, are pretty open. I have my mornings open and then the afternoons off pretty much the entirety of it. Excuse me. But yeah, we'll say from 6 to 6, I'm with teams. And whatever other daily operations I need to do that day, whether it be my training or, like I said, office work, those kind of things. And then I go home for the day most of the time. If there's practice going on in the gym or wherever, I might, show face there and just kind of check things out for a minute or two and go talk with athletic training staff, kind of debrief the day, maybe the things we saw, or maybe some things that some adjustments we need to make for athletes or anything. Just update each other on our worlds. I like to do that, just keep everybody in the loop of things. Then I go home and, again, shower if I need to or rip some dinner, get some calories in, because a lot of times I'm the kind of guy I don't like to eat a whole lot while I'm at the office throughout the day. So if you want to call it intermittent fasting, I guess you could. I'm not a huge proprietor of that, but I guess by definition it might be that, just because I'm not eating a whole lot throughout the day, but then I go and try to just house a bunch of calories at night, currently trying to bulk up a little bit. So got to really try to stay on top of that the best I can. And it's a little bit harder when you get at home at night and got to eat a whole bunch of calories in one sitting. But I am better at that than the other hand, where it's really easy sometimes to overeat calories, and I'm trying to maybe lose a little bit of weight, but yeah, then you do that, and then a lot of times I'm in bed by 8 o'clock, 8:30, and asleep by 8:30, 9 o'clock, and most nights, and so it's a pretty simple life a lot of times. It's what I enjoy doing. I enjoy being at the bubble. I enjoy working with the teams. Like I said, it's a pretty simple life during the semester, and I'm pretty committed to that life, to be honest with you. So it doesn't really bother me, when we have the free time, and like I'll use it accordingly, and I'll relax and take the free time that I have. But at the same time, like, it doesn't bother me being busy all the time. So
yeah,
that's kind of a little synopsis on the day right there. So.
Well, what you saying that just shows me how eager you are to do this podcast, to find the time, and we definitely appreciate that. You've got it down to a science, it seems, and you've got it down to a habit. Like you said, you're coming into your 3rd year at this, so at this point, you got your solid routine. Would love to talk more about the gym and weightlifting. Would love to start with what weightlifting kind of means to you, what exercise does for you mentally, physically, all that kind of stuff, kind of just your take on that.
Yeah, most definitely. So I never really started lifting weights until like it was getting to my freshman year of high school. I loved to be outside. I loved to play sports growing up. I loved playing hockey, loved playing football, at the park with my friends, playing baseball or whatever, being outside with some of my best friends, some of my favorite childhood memories, going to my friend Blaze's house and playing street hockey, and you play in the driveway, play in the street, you got to move the nets for the cars. So some of my favorite memories are exercising and playing street hockey and having tournaments with the guys. And but I've always been a pretty big kid. I've been this height since about 7th grade. And I've always been like weight-wise, like way high percentile. So I've always just been like a big kid.
Yeah.
And it never really like was an issue to me until you start getting older. Some of the kids start poking names at you a little bit, and it never, to be honest with you, it never really bothered me that much. So it's not like I had like this big villain arc kind of thing, So it was like it never bothered me that much. But I did know that it was like not something I always wanted to have that be my characteristic, my defining characteristic, whatever it may be. So going into high school, I knew I wanted to play football. I knew that football players lifted weights, and my high school was doing a weight program, and I'm like, yep, I'm absolutely interested in that. So I started doing that, and our strength guy at the time was pretty primal. It was go bench press, go back squat, and go deadlift, and then we're gonna go outside and condition and play ultimate frisbee on the football field. And I'm like, okay, this is what weightlifting is, kind of thing. And I did fall in love with it pretty quick. My dad always talked about him lifting weights in his kind of like post-military days, and he could say, oh, I could deadlift this much, I could squat this much, kind of thing. And it was always like, oh, that's pretty cool, So again, going in the freshman year, I started lifting weights, and that's where I started to see a lot of the transformation from, maybe my, adolescent, like some overweight or whatever, some chubbiness, if you will, where I started to see a little bit of transition into like, okay, now I'm starting to transform a little bit. So I started to see that. So that's why I really started to dig into it. And I'm like, yeah, I'm like really starting to like this. And I always felt good afterwards too. Regardless of what we were doing, like I said, it's some of the stuff, it was a little suspect as far as what we were doing, the exercise selection, the loading schemes, all those kinds of things. But, excuse me, it was something I knew I enjoyed doing. We cycled through a couple different strength coaches when I was in my early high school years, freshman, sophomore year. Again, things that I maybe wouldn't do as a professional as far as loading schemes, rep schemes, those kinds of things. But the things they did do for me as far as coaches, they showed me that I just love to do it. I love to be there. I love everything about it. That was one thing that never went away, and that was always a constant, is work hard, and the good things are probably going to come to you in some way or another. You might not win all your games, you might not do all this stuff, but you're reaping some sort of benefit from it. And then where it really, really started to transform for me, I already knew I liked it. Then we ended up getting a new strength coach contracted through like the wellness center in town in Grand Forks. And he had some structure to everything. He had some structure. Hey, you're going to do this warm-up, you're going to do this training session. And me and my buddies absolutely despised it. It's like, this guy thinks he knows this. And it's like, just thinking back in hindsight, I'm like, I was such a clown in that high school period. I'm just like thinking I know better than the professional kind of thing.
Right.
So he got there during our football season, and after our season got done with, I had lost a bunch of weight. So I was like playing offensive line in high school at like 230 pounds, thinking I'm Joe Stanley out there kind of thing, thinking I'm just like just this huge. I think Joe Staley. Sorry, I said Stanley. I meant Joe Staley, but thinking I'm just like this giant human being out there. And we got done with our season, and my buddies and I were like, okay, well, maybe let's give this guy a chance. Like, let's hear our football coach out. He's been harping on us like, hey, this guy's good. This guy's good, kind of thing. Go be with him. We'll give him a chance. If we don't like it after like a month, this first session, like, we'll go do our own thing. So again, I get down there. I'm like 230 pounds, and our strength coach is a former Division I football player, and he looks at me and goes, "Will you play offensive line, huh?" "Oh yeah." "Sure doesn't look like it." So I'm like, okay. So like you need to eat more, you need to lift more, you need to get big. So I'm like, bet, let's do it, kind of thing. And the more time we spent with him, the more time I'm like, okay, I actually like really, really like what this guy's got to say. He's a very smart individual. He's like not afraid to, if we have questions, he's going to explain why we're doing it, how we're doing it, why we're going to, all those kinds of things. And I think that's what really, really made me start to buy in a lot, pretty much to whatever we were doing, to where it got to my senior year, and I ended up gaining like 40 pounds, and I was like, at the time, the strongest I'd ever been. Mm-hmm. I felt the best I'd ever been. And so it got to that point where I'm going to do whatever this man tells me to do, kind of thing, because I've seen the results. I'm going to give his ideas to whoever. And so that was like furthered my love for strength conditioning, like the structured side of things, all the things that kind of just in the giant macrocosm of what strength conditioning is, or for me was at the time. I just loved everything about it. His name is Zeb Miller. That's like I said, I got to give a shout out to him for sure, because he's pretty much the whole reason why I'm doing this today. Just really instilled the love for training and everything about it to me at that time. So that's kind of the origins of it a little bit. Yeah, I mean, as far as my continued love for it, what it does for me every day, it's definitely a release for me. I look forward to it pretty much every day I'm there, and there are some days where it's like it does seem like a little bit like a chore, but I don't view it as such. I just view it as it's something I need to do for the day. It's just like it sounds so cliche, but when it comes to like paying your rent for the month, it's just like you just got to go do it. And I have no problem doing it because that's what I'm responsible for. Like I said, I love training. I don't love paying rent. I don't like watching the money leave my bank account, but I love training. I for lots of different reasons, and now as a strength and conditioning professional, I love it even more for some different reasons that I never really anticipated. I love it because I can experiment a little bit, not only with myself and my goals, but the things maybe I want to try with like you guys, for example. So like I've talked about it a lot in the weight room, like, hey, I tried this. Just tell me what you guys think of it, kind of thing. I don't ever give the athletes anything that I wouldn't do or I haven't done. So I really like it as a newfound passion within the last couple of years, is like use it as kind of an experimentation kind of thing. I mean, training is in my opinion, it's a big giant experiment for everybody. I use the example like a baker, like a chef. You can craft up this most awesome recipe, and say like a baker, it's like, I'm just gonna make the freaking most bomb cake ever. It's gonna be awesome, right? You look at the recipe, it's like, it looks like it's gonna be freaking good. You write the steps to it, and then if you go in and do it and you do it wrong, it's like, it comes out, it's well, it was supposed to be really, really good.
Yeah.
But as a real good baker or a real good chef might tell you, they've experimented a lot. They've done a lot of different things where I'm sure like the home cooked meals from like your grandma or like your mom or whatever, they're always the best, and nobody ever measures anything. Nobody ever like does anything. It's all just like, I've just been doing this a while. I know how this kind of thing works. I think those things can kind of translate to one another to where, you think about like your percentages like on a bench press. It's like, okay, well, let's see, like 92% of a max should move for 4 reps, but sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you might just be having a bad day. You might have not slept very well. You might have not eaten anything. You might not be hydrated, right? Where that 92% can now feel like 102%, So those 4 reps might dissipate only into 1, maybe not even 1. They might, on the flip side, it might be days where it's like that 92% is only about 80% because you feel really, really good, right? Whatever the scenario may be, I think it's not really a black and white kind of world. And I think understanding that and being able to experiment with that and knowing when those things are present is really, really huge as a strength and conditioning professional. So I mean, like I said, I like to experiment with different loading schemes, different percentages, just allowing myself to think for myself and not have percentages tell me where I should be, what I should be doing, using them as guidelines, but having myself think for myself ultimately. So now when an athlete's under the bar, I know what it feels like. I know how it can feel mentally, physically, and I know how to approach whatever scenario maybe at hand. Where, I feel like this. Okay, maybe go up this, or maybe go down this. So I can give those accurate suggestions with it. Does that kind of make sense a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of just kind of going off in different branches there, but
100%. No, I love the way you say that, and the fact that I think what you do a really good job of is keeping us athletic. It doesn't even have to be strong or huge. It's just keeping us all athletic. And I love the fact that, when we talk about personally lifting weights and stuff, is I'm very much the same. I like to experiment, and I very much look forward to, coming in, seeing you, and, we can bounce ideas off each other. And I know that happens with a lot of guys where we're just bouncing ideas off each other and, almost making each other better. But I really love the way you put that. Now I want to get into some of the fun stuff.
Oh, goodness gracious.
So I want you to start. You can control the reps, you can control how many sets, but I want you to design a gauntlet-style workout with 5 exercises.
So gauntlet meaning like hard?
Gauntlet meaning at the end of this, you're on the floor.
Okay. All right, word. Yeah, so I'll do it's 5 exercises you said?
Yep.
You said I can control reps, I can control sets?
You absolutely can.
Okay. For me personally, I think it's not going to be like a heinous thing. There might be some heinous things in there, but if I was going to want a lift session where I'm going to I need to feel something today, I need to sweat, I need to be on E afterwards, I'm going to start off A tier. The first movement, I'm going to go heavy power clean singles. I'm going to rip some heavy power clean singles, and I'm going to go till I can't. I love the power clean. It's a It's a mentally tolling exercise. It's a physically tolling exercise. It's either you freaking move it fast or you don't, kind of thing. It's one of those movements where you get technical with it. You get under the bar or you get up to the bar, and honestly, sometimes I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing right now, and then I grab the bar, and it's like, bang, I unlock it. I'm there. I love the heavy power clean singles. I'm gonna go get after those. B tier. Oh, B tier. I think after that, right, once you're nice and warmed up, body's ready to rock and roll. I think I'm probably gonna have to end with probably like an AMAT back squat set.
Oh.
Probably 85%, maybe 85 to 90%, as many as you can. The back squat's one of those things where it's yeah.
It's all up here.
It is.
It's all up here.
You can be feeling the best physically, but if you're not locked in mentally, it's game over.
Yep.
But even if you're maybe not feeling the best physically, if you get that mind right and you got something in your mind that maybe that's bothering you, using it as motivation, it's like you can freaking burn holes in the walls of your eyes sometimes.
Oh yeah.
And you fill the room with guys or gals on the same goal and the same path. It's some of the most electric movement in strength conditioning, I think. So,
I agree.
Probably gonna have to go a top AMAP set of back squat. After that, make it a total body lift. I'm gonna need 3 sets AMAP chin ups. I love a little chin up action.
Left field.
Yep. We'll make it a total body session. I absolutely love doing a bunch of chin ups. I think it's a tremendous forearm pump. It's a tremendous bicep pump. The lat pump goes crazy. I absolutely love just getting a friggin' ton of chin ups. After that, after all that wreckage, I'm gonna bring out the RFS, the rear foot elevated split squat. I'm probably gonna go, if I'm really looking to feel something, probably sets of 10, only 2 or 3 sets of 10, but a full range of motion, and you should probably feel like you're on fire after that.
Yeah, you'd think, hey.
So those 4 are pretty heinous if you ask me. And then more recently, an exercise that I really didn't think would tear you up too bad, but within the last year I found was the bench supported leg raise, or like the candlestick ab, like the core.
Like those scissor kicks.
Yep, we were doing the scissor kicks.
I knew you were going to say that too.
For those of you who don't know, like I say, look at like a candlestick ab exercise. Basically, you're grabbing the bench and you're lifting your legs and your hips off, and you try to keep your hips off the bench as long as you can.
Brutal.
Feels like getting stabbed knives. You physically feel your abdominal muscles tearing. But if you want a strong core, it's one of those things. It's kind of a necessity for me anyway. But yeah, those 5 exercises. The core work probably only like sets of 6 to 8. Probably only 2 or 3 sets, because you're not going to be able to do much more, to be honest with you. Gauntlet, that's a good question. I was not expecting something like that, but that would be probably something where I need to feel something, and if I could be a little bit greedy, you probably have to throw a little body try action in there too.
Always have to. You always have to, right? No, I like that. I like that because now I'm going to write it down. I'm going to try it. I think that would get pretty heinous, as you said.
Yes, it would.
Next question. Let's see. Let's do your favorite Powerade flavor.
Oh.
And then I have a follow-up to that after. But you go first.
What's that? What's the pink one? Is that melon? Or no, that's not the strawberry. Strawberry is a strawberry melon. Pink Powerade. I didn't do my homework. The pink Powerade.
Pink Powerade. Whatever that one is. But that's the thing with Powerade and Gatorade. The flavors, you just say the color.
Yeah.
And that's the flavor, right?
Yeah.
What's your favorite flavor? Blue. It's not a flavor. It's just a color.
Red 40 is my favorite flavor.
And then the follow-up was your favorite. You remember this last year when we had the paper funnel and we were funneling protein powder into the Powerade.
Of course.
What's your favorite protein powder Powerade combo?
Oh man, favorite one. So I'll give. Can I give you 2 answers here?
Yes.
I think favorite one, like no drama, no BS with it, is your orange Powerade and your vanilla protein powder.
Creamsicle right there.
It's tremendous.
Yep.
Throw it in the fridge let it cool down a little bit. Throw out some ice. It's magical, really.
It's very good.
It is. Weirdly enough, kind of like a guilty pleasure kind of answer, if you would say. I'd say chocolate protein with the orange Powerade.
The orange does it well with the protein.
It does really. It's almost like a Tootsie Roll or something.
Yes.
Kind of deal. I think you had maybe experimented with that last year.
Yes.
And I'm like, I got to try it out, and it's really, really good, to be honest.
You wouldn't think it because of the color. Like when you put the protein powder in the Powerade, it looks heinous. It looks awful.
like mop water.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it actually, I think the orange creamsicle was pretty solid. I think vanilla and blue was pretty solid. I think vanilla you can kind of go wherever. I don't think we tried vanilla purple. We have it available now, so
we do. Yeah.
Maybe tomorrow.
Purple, yeah.
Maybe tomorrow.
Yeah. Try it out. Get a little heinous.
Yeah.
Yep. Do some science experiments.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then we need to get another paper funnel though because I don't want to spill on the floor.
Yeah, well, I've got papers. So.
Okay, but no, I just wanted to bring that up because we haven't done it this year at all. I haven't at least, but that was funny, and I wanted to know what your favorite combo was, but we were getting pretty ridiculous with it. Next fun question. I got 2 more for you.
Perfect.
Your favorite post-workout meal, restaurant, home cooked, anybody?
Sure. Excuse me. Yeah. Oh goodness, that's pretty intense. There's a lot of good meals out there. I think that's one it's you can't miss with it for me. Like a big like breakfast for dinner kind of thing.
Oh.
Like say if you have an evening lift, you go home and like a biscuits and gravy or like some eggs and like a country fried steak with a giant glass of chocolate milk. I don't think you can miss with that.
You're winning a lot of points with me right now.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
You can't miss with that.
Yep, I'm a big breakfast guy, and I know that question came up in the weight room a couple weeks ago now, the breakfast, and yeah, I think you and I are both breakfast guys at heart.
Most definitely.
My final game, I want to play a little game with you here. So, I don't know what the scenario is, but you're going to have to choose between 2 pieces of equipment in the weight room. One stays and one goes.
Fair.
I got 5 here, 5 choices. Let's start with the Viking bar or fat grips. One has to stay, one has to go.
Yeah, definitely keep our Viking bars. I love those things. The fat grips are cool. I think you guys like them a lot more than I do. I try to use them every now and then, but I don't particularly use them all that much. We don't really use them that much, but I think they're definitely like a you guys like them a lot more than I do kind of thing. That's why we keep them in that bucket, just so I don't have to look at them. But definitely keeping our Viking bars.
Okay. All right. We'll go pulleys and cables or blast straps.
Oh, that's kind of tough because we use them a little bit.
They both have their applications.
Yeah, they do. Oh, that's tough. I think I'm going to have to get rid of the pulley system, to be honest with you.
That's what I was thinking you would do.
Yeah, the blast straps are kind of multi-purpose, so you can use them for a lot of different things. You can get pretty advanced with them. And then you can use those pulley system for a lot of different things too. We just don't use them as much as the blast straps.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of where I was thinking you were going with it. This one I think it might be tough too. Trap bar or Hadfield bar?
Oh, like the safety bar?
Yes, safety bar.
Okay. Oh, that's tough too. Well, no, you got to remember we haven't had the trap bars all that crazy long.
That's true.
So we did get a lot by without them. So I would have to say probably the trap bar. We do use those for a lot of things, and I do like them. But definitely I'm keeping the safety bars for sure.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Let's do. I think this one's an easy one. I don't know why I tossed it in. Jump pads or the med balls?
Oh yeah. Yeah, you can get rid of the med balls for sure.
I thought so.
We need those jump pads.
Yeah.
I like them too much.
Yep. No, I've loved the jumping, and I think a lot of people do. It's almost like a game. You try and beat your friends and stuff.
It is.
It's so much fun.
It is. You guys, all the teams get competitive with it, and it's cool to see. When you put in the Team Builder app, you can see the progression over the years and see where you're at this time versus last year, where your freshman year or whatever it may be. So you can see a lot of cool things from those, and yeah, they're a good tool to push competitiveness for sure.
Yeah, I thought that was an easy one. And the final one, it's not equipment, but you can only get Powerade for the rest of whatever or Fairlife.
Oh, come on, man. Yeah, you got to go the Fairlife, I think, right?
Yep.
Yeah, the Powerade's good, and it has its, we very much appreciate what Coca-Cola's doing for us. And so both of those are Coca-Cola products, so it's not like.
Plug in the sponsor.
Yeah, you got to do what you got to do. You got to do what you got to do.
Dream guest on the podcast.
Right, that's right. But no, you got to keep the Fairlife, I think. I think all the athletes and any righteous person out there would agree with me where you got to go. You got to go with the Fairlife. It's the macros are crazy.
Oh, my God.
The macros are crazy on it. Maybe a little bit more sugar than the average person might like, but it's post-lift, it's post-training session. A lot of times these shirts are leaving covered, and they're a different shade of gray. If they're a gray shirt or a white shirt, they're soaked in sweat. You'd be okay after a little bit extra sugar, Yeah.
So. Well, and it's delicious. There's nothing that hits the stomach better after lift. I'm with you on the chocolate milk. I need some chocolate milk after I lift. I love it. I just bought 3 gallons yesterday, right? So
you have to. It's a mainstay in my fridge for sure at home, and yeah, it's yeah. I will say maybe a hot take, man. I don't know if a hot take. Some of that strawberry Fairlife might be better than chocolate Fairlife, though.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I don't disagree, because they also have the salted caramel.
Yeah, I never had that one, to
Okay.
be honest with you, but I do know of it, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm familiar with it.
There's chocolate, strawberry. I remember you had the strawberry for a little bit.
Yeah.
Vanilla?
They do like a cookies and cream. They
never
did
heard
in
of
the
that
past. They used to have them up like at the petrol station up at the hill.
Okay.
They used to have that one. That was pretty good. But yeah, those two, I think.
Okay.
I think, from my opinion anyway, sometimes that strawberry just trumps the Fairlife, the particular chocolate Fairlife. I think that one's pretty good. Chocolate milk versus strawberry milk in general, I think chocolate wins. But the Fairlife, to me anyway, the strawberry might come out on top.
I don't disagree with you. I would have to taste it again, because I haven't had a strawberry Fairlife in a while. I know they have them, in like the big bulk at a lot of stores, but yeah, I need to try that again, because I need to evaluate that take. But yeah, this was awesome. Thank you so much for your time, Coach Rack. As we heard from the Day in the Life, you are a busy man, so we appreciate you taking time out of your day to do this podcast.
Yeah.
And like I said, if this doesn't drive up viewership, I don't know what will.
Yeah. No.
Any final words? Any thoughts?
No. Yeah. No. Not so much. I hope what I said makes a little bit of sense, and I didn't completely ramble. And I'm pretty good at doing that, as you guys know. Down in the weight room, I always talk about how good I am at not being good at public speaking, and rambling and yapping and all those kinds of things. But if anybody's ever curious what we're doing down in the weight room, I like to keep the VCSU Strength Instagram updated on current training styles, and I try to drop weekly highlight videos. It's been very poor managing by me recently as far as making those highlight videos. But if you ever want to check that out, it's at VCSU_strength. It's pretty good. Go check that out. You can see Jaden and then the rest of the baseball guys and the rest of the athletic crew getting after their stuff and trying to highlight some of the underground, literally underground in the bubble, or this lesser seen side of athletics, and excuse me, try to bring light to all those kinds of things. And yeah, it's pretty interesting. I think we post polls and quizzes and stuff on there every now and then. Just try to keep everything engaging. So if you're ever interested in that, again, it's at VCSU_strength. So check that out. Other than that, glad to be here. Thanks for having me on. I can check this off my little 2024 bucket list. That's right. And no, it was cool, man. So I'm glad to be here. And yeah, I hope we learned a little bit of something anyway. Even if that thing is that I can't talk very well. Hopefully.
You talk just fine. You told great stories. And I know I can say this on behalf of all the athletes, but we really appreciate what you do for us.
Thank you.
This was awesome. So thank you, Coach Rack. And I'm Jaden Babiuk, and this has been episode 3 of Viking Voices.